Hello and welcome back to Magic Garden. I am your host, Raven. If you didn't know already, hi, hello, and welcome not only to my channel, but also to Sabbath Social. I wanted to extend a warm welcome to you because we're happy that you're here. Today we are going to look at the apple, and I had to think about it. It is early in the morning and I'm doing this right before work. So the apple, in the Magic Garden series, I am taking things that I actually grow in my garden and how I can use it in magical practice and a little bit of the background of each of those things, whether it be a fruit, a vegetable, herb, leaves from trees, things of that nature. So today we are going to look at the apple, and I'm going to get a little coffee. No, there is no apple in my coffee, but still, we're going to talk about the apple. So yes, this is an apple that I actually grew in my garden. Isn't it beautiful? I think it's lovely. It is actually a blend of 3 different kinds, and I think one of them is Gravestein, and I can't remember. I think Liberty is another one, and I'm not sure what the third one is. This is it when I thought that it was ready, and then this is, I plucked it just a little bit too early, and you can see that the pink is starting to come out on it there. But this is just recently plucked as of yesterday, and that means it's into October. So this was September, and this is October, and you can see the vast difference in it. Apple for me, when I first came into the path, I had researched and I learned that the apple is sacred. It's sacred to witches because it's one of those fruits, it's one of those plants that actually houses the pentacle or the pentagram in it, a star, a circle star. When you cut the apple, not this way, not in a slice, but you slice it this way, you can actually see those slices. You can actually see those stars. And I did that for both of these, which is not the same because I think they were homegrown, but there's your little star on the inside, and you can see where the seeds are. I'll back it up a little bit so you can see it. And I also really like the little dots that are also around there. And the same thing with this one. This is the larger version. There's your little star. Now on other apples, maybe larger varieties, you'll actually see the circle there where the seeds come through. What I've done in the past and what I had researched was that you can slice these apple slices, and that little star, you can probably get about 4 slices with the star included, and I would dry them in my hydrator, which you can see right behind me, right there. And I would give them as gifts. I would also take some and put them at the base of a candle, and then have the wick come through, and then the soy wax on top for fertility candles, something that I had used, as well as friendship. So the apple, let's get into it because I've written down quite a bit of stuff, and this is information that was taken from all over the internet and in a couple of my books, including The Green Witch was one that I like to use a lot, but also Wikipedia and various other sites. So the apple is the element of water. Planet is Venus, and it has some good crystal pairings. Some of those being aquamarine, rose quartz. Oh gosh, there's a couple of others. Morganite, and I said rose quartz already, and amethyst. Of course, amethyst. And when you understand the reasons why it would be tied to amethyst, you can see some correspondences there with not only the crystal, but also with the correspondence with the actual fruits. So it is a feminine energy and also tied to deities such as Aphrodite, Gaia, Rhiannon, and Hera. And it's heavy into love magic. And doesn't that make sense? Because you've always, well, I don't know if you have, but I have heard the term apple of my eye. The apple of my eye. Well, the apple is that holding space of the love. So you can take this apple, or you can take any apple really, and you can use it for like magic. You can use it for love magic. They're from everything from having a crush. So maybe you started it, you have a crush on somebody, right? And you want that to grow into a mature situation. So this I thought was a very good thing for an analogy with these two apples. So what if you had access to an apple tree? Not everybody does, but what if you did, such as me? And what if you had something and you wanted to grow a relationship, right? And you could actually put a little piece of paper or put like a little rubber band or tie a string around it with intentions and keep going, or whatever. You probably want to do it loosely. You can even put a tag on it. You can put a paper strip if you wanted, and then you just let it grow and flourish into a beautiful relationship, from a crush to a mature relationship. That could be a thing. Just saying. It's also used in which I had said, like a friendship type situation, luck, prosperity magic, creativity, fertility, opening a gateway to the other side. This was new information to me. And I want to talk about that a little bit. So, you can, and I will get there, because I'm going to go roundabout. We had talked about the 5-pointed star on the inside, and I used to do this, and it was something that I had found in a book long ago, and I can't remember which book that is, but I'll tell you about it. When I take those slices, I would often give those little dried slices in a little plastic pouch or something like that, or string the little apple that I had dried out onto like a little jar or on the top of a packaging, from one witch to another witch, as almost like a handshake, almost like, I mean no harm, I'm trusting you, you're trusting me, let's be friends situation. So that's something that you do. You also find apples in wreaths and garlands, particularly around this time, because they say, the experts of books and the internet, say that apples are a very common offering for ancestor altars at this time of year. So you see it all around. The bobbing for apples was a big thing. It actually was a courtship game back in the 1800s, probably even earlier, where if you would inscribe the name of the person that you wanted to hook up with, and then you would bob for apples. You put them in the water in a tank, and or a big trough, and then you would bob for the apples, and you had 3 chances to get your person that you had inscribed in order to go on a date and start to court with them. Courting, if you didn't know, means, kind of like dating back then. But when you court, the end game is to marry. So you have to be pretty mindful of who you decide to court with, right? Bobbing for apples was actually a game to try to hook people up. It was the old version of Love is Blind, if you will. Okay? Yeah, there you go. So there's that. But also, let's see, gateway to the other side. We were talking about that. This is why the apples are used in offerings on altars at this time of year. Every part of the apple is magical. The skin, the pulp, the seeds, all of it is magical. I've seen people cut an apple in half, and then they put their spell in there, and then they put it back together, and then I've seen it sealed in wax. I've seen so many different ways that you can do. I've seen people stitch the apple back together. You can do that with other fruits as well, or vegetables, but definitely the apple has a good skin as well as a good pulp for that to happen, if you're choosing to use it that way. Apparently, when you can fall asleep under an apple tree and it will take you to the underworld. I thought that was very exciting. Also, the last part of this I wanted to say is that they talk a lot about the silver bough. The silver bough. So imagine a beautiful apple tree, and apple trees have long, kind of janky, weird boughs or branches, right? If you come across an apple tree that has ripe fruit, this one branch has, 4 or 5 apples on it, another branch has 4 or 5 apples on it, but then one branch is kind of like silvery. When an apple tree is getting ready to blossom, it still has its buds. There's almost like a silver sheen on the leaves. It's just really pretty. It's something that happens in nature, and in the springtime, I will try to video that for you so you could see the difference. But if you get one branch, or you see one branch that has not budded, has not created the apple, has not produced fruit, but the others have, that is a special tree. And if you fall asleep under it, it will take you into the underworld, and you have found a portal, basically, to the underworld, and also linked with the Fae. Isn't that very interesting? I thought it was. So yeah, apple branches themselves, apple wood, makes really good wands. The tree itself, the entire apple situation, is just fantastical. And then if you didn't know already, this time of year, October, you're going to find apple butter. Like I was intending on taking my apples and cooking them down in a crock pot to make apple butter, jarring it and keeping it, or canning it and keeping it for the winter throughout the spring, because it's so delicious. But these types of apples is not one that you could do that with. So I was going to slice them up, and I was going to put them in the dehydrator, not only for the little sacred spot in the middle, but also to make apple chips with cinnamon and nutmeg, and maybe a little dusting of sugar if I wanted to. But these types of apples are so sweet and delicious, I don't need to add any sugar. So these are some fun ways to incorporate apple. Even if you didn't want to eat it, you could slice it up and you can string it into garland. And it could also be just an offering on your ancestor altar or on a deity's altar, and they would very much appreciate it. So that is the apple, y'all, and I hope that you enjoyed the apple. Next month I will be back with another video, and I'm not sure which one that would be. In fact, my garden is getting ready to get put to bed for winter. I was anticipating on trying to do a little bit of winter gardening, but I don't think that the weather is going to agree with me. So we may visit some more herbs, things that I can put in the house and have available. So with that, we could do lavender, we can do rosemary, we can do some things. And I also wanted to possibly talk about moon gardening in conjunction with the moon phases, and maybe I could break that down for you as well. So many blessings to you. I hope that you get your apple on in Samhain. It's going to be a good time, so you can do all kinds of wonderful things with the apple, and I hope that you enjoy your season, and I hope you enjoy each other, and remember, be good to yourself and to others. Kindness starts with you, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye. Many blessings.